Hey guys, I'm Frederick Van Johnson. Another really interesting interview for you guys. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart because I am on the cusp. First of all, I'm a customer of these. You can see this array here, so I have a couple of those at home, and I am thinking about getting one of these things. So I have two of the perfect people here to talk to me about this. So Douglas Spotted Eagle is here. And where are you from? What's your pedigree?
Living between Toronto and Southern California at the moment.
Yeah. And you are managing producer, I had to write it down, managing producer of Sundance Media Group, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What do you do? What's your day-to-day there?
Well, Sundance Media Group is a production company. We produce pieces, commercial pieces, and crew out for documentary pieces, things like that. But we also have an arm called VAS, which is Video, Audio, Software Support and Training, and we write a lot of articles, or I produce a lot of articles for magazines and webzines about mostly about cameras and camera techniques, tools, etc.
Excellent. Well, we're going to talk about that a lot because there's a lot of stuff to talk about right there. All right.
So
also,
cool.
Jack, you're here. Jack Burnside from Empire Hobby.
Yep.
All right. So you're the founder and president of the Empire Hobby. So how long have they been around? Or you guys been around?
I'm one of the two owners. My partner and I got together in aviation a long time ago. Mm-hmm. We're in RC aviation and started to, get back into it after kids and all that. One thing led to the other. We've grown into the leading multi-rotor distributor in the country. So we're very thankful for that. We've got a good thing going on, and we've been around 10 years. We just celebrated it March 24th.
Wow. So leading multi-rotor distributor in the country. So DJI is selling through you guys, or how does all that work? Yeah,
we represent many brands in the RC world, but when we talk specifically to the multi-rotor market, we have many manufacturers. DJI is a leading manufacturer right now in the world. They're just on fire. Very innovative. Things move very fast. But with that, we have Sony, Gowie, many other brands that we support, promote, work with. Yeah. So all things aerial photography. The thing that we see is that new technologies are often founded in the hobby RC market. Military UAV stuff early on, all types of different, battle bots, all that.
Yeah.
It starts there. So we've been very fortunate to grab some of the early technologies or identify good companies and stick with them and help them to grow it and get it out there.
Well, tell me about the industry overall. So first of all, what's the proper term for these guys? Is it a drone? Is it a UAV? Is it a multi-rotor helicopter? What is it?
It's technically UAS, but I don't care who you see. You get on the bus over here, it's a drone.
It's a drone.
So at some point, people are going to have to accept that. We know drones are usually weaponized. UAS or multi-rotors are not. Yeah. So that's a big difference. But you want to call it a drone. You're not going to break my heart. It will a lot of people, but look, it's multi-rotor. It's utilitarian in nature. If it can help me accomplish a job or provide some entertainment, it's a wonderful, wonderful tool.
So let's break it down. What this is. So it's a aircraft, right, with a camera mounted on it, and you can grab that if you want. So it's an aircraft with a camera mounted on it. Why is it so popular? I mean, we've had remote control aircraft for decades now.
Correct.
Why are these why do we have that hockey puck of popularity or hockey stick of popularity?
Because this is one of the first products that's from the hobby industry that's crossed over into the mainstream. We've seen a lot of products come through that became wildly popular in the hobby sector. But suddenly I own a wind turbine farm and I have to inspect the blades at lightning strike. Right. And now I'm sending out a crew. You mean I can grab one of these and look at my own blades so it changes a lot of things. Roof inspection, not to mention the artistic aspect of it, which is really the root of it. To get those shots that just weren't possible before, flying through the trees, or if they were possible, they were highly expensive.
Right.
So the explosion has just been that it's crossed over. DJI produced a out-of-the-box, ready-to-fly solution that's very advanced. It looks simple and friendly, which is a good thing when you want to go in and say, hey, I'd like to fly this in your park or whatever, and get permission to do that. But it's very advanced. So the one thing that new folks to the market, which this has brought more than any other thing in our history, they tend not to dig into the technological aspect of it and do some of the maintenance things that you need to do to, calibrate the compass and check the IMU and all these things in there that are super sophisticated. Right. So when you coupled that with a gimbal that would stabilize the camera, because we've always been putting cameras on. Remember the early rockets that came with a camera?
Yep.
You could take pictures. So that's always been going on, but this brought a whole new level with 2-axis stabilized gimbal, which is now 3-axis. So, this is the new prototype one for the Sony ActionCam.
And that's the new ActionCam. What model?
It is. That's the AS100. The coolest thing to come out of that is their new Steady Shot. With this, it listens for vibrations, and a lot like noise canceling headsets. It does that, and it's perfect for especially lower frequency vibrations. When we get into super high frequency, nothing. You just need a good gimbal to take care of that. But the tests I've done on like full scale aircraft, it borders on the magical. So that's the number one thing, and then the 3-hour battery life.
Borders on magical.
Borders on magical. That it does. So we'll give you a demo of this thing.
And while you're doing that, so on the ActionCam, you are a distributor for other POV cameras as well. So you're in a unique position to answer this question. How does the ActionCam compare to those other guys out there?
Right. The things I've seen with it, the battery life is just key, and Sony is such an iconic company that we expected a lot. And as I started to learn more and more about these, I really found this to be user-friendly. And I could go through all the tech specs and stuff like that, but overall, it's simple to use. It's reliable. The image quality is very good for me. I'm kind of like your average guy, right? I'm not a high-end photographer. I'm go out, get some cool footage. I like to chase my dog with this thing. Right, I throw the ball and go, and I get some great stuff back. So for me, as a kind of everyday Joe with the camera, I absolutely love it. Some of the other ones I fiddle with, and I'll get frustrated, and my kid will grab it and say, "Dad," I'll be like, "Geez," but with this, I could just flip through it, and that's been the favorite thing. So, as the new thing about this is 3-axis stabilization. So typically, it was just stabilized in tilt and roll. Right? But now they've added the 3rd axis, so when the aircraft yaws a little bit, it will correct, as you guys call in pan.
Right.
So that's really good for fast forward flight. When you maybe wander a little bit, it'll correct, or when you decide to rotate about, it's going to lag a little bit to smooth that out. So it makes a big difference.
So this is a prototype we're looking at here, right?
It is. It's really close. Just a couple things, a few balancing, and get the software right. And we hope to see it in hopefully 6 weeks.
Really. So then, how will this particular gimbal be distributed? You have to buy it separate. Is it a kit? Is it going to come with a?
We will offer
a drone or a UAS. Buy it all together. How does it work?
We will offer it with the multi-copter, the Phantom 2, with the Zenmuse for the ActionCam, and you'll be able to get it with or without the ActionCam with us.
Okay.
So we'll offer that in a package. And
do we know how much yet?
Well, I can tell you that the gimbal by itself is going to be it'll be sub 400.
Okay.
So right in there, probably 379, something like that. The camera is $299 without the watch portion on its own, and then this. When you get it in a combo, it's going to be sub $1,000.
Okay.
Right around there.
I'm just
but
doing,
super
I'm doing my budget in
sophisticated.
my head right now.
Yeah. We'll make sure you're going to save a couple $100 by getting it all together. But we'll play later. We'll get you to fly it, and that'll be fun.
Definitely.
So this has been a game changer solely because of and to get all the way back to your question, why the curve? Because people could see it, take it out of the box, successfully fly it because it's very stable. You can let go, and it'll just do its thing. GPS or no GPS. It's very, very stable, and people found it easy to do what they wanted to do. So.
Here's an application that I've been thinking of for mine when I get it, and I know this is not possible yet, but I recently bought a new house, right? But I travel a lot, so I'm paranoid that I'm gone. I live alone, so I'm paranoid when I'm gone, somebody's going to come in the house. Wouldn't it be cool if I could just fire up an app on my phone
and deploy
deploy and have my little virtual security guard do a walk around and then go land back in, on the spot and latch back.
It's not that far fetched.
I need that to happen.
It's just it's
mall
just
cop.
not.
It's the new mall cop.
Right now, we can add iPad navigation to this, so I can set waypoints around my house, right? And I can tell it I want to climb at its current spot to so many feet. I can set all that. I want to look this direction, stay on the first point for 10 seconds, fly to the next point. So just a matter of, you're very close to that. So it's not that far out. But
it's born too early. All the cool stuff comes now. So Douglas, let's talk about this array that we've got going on over here. What is happening right here? You've got how many POV cams there?
Actually, at the moment there's 17. There were 18 this morning until someone dropped the camera or the helmet. But that's all right. Not a big thing.
So what is this for?
Well,
you just need an intervention? I mean, what's going on?
Addiction help.
I need an intervention. I can't stop. I can't
Behavior is
stop.
affecting me negatively.
Nah, hey, it's all about my ego, right?
Yeah.
I'm writing an article about POV cams. This will be my third year taking the popular POV cams, the latest, greatest POV cams, and I do a shootout. We call it the Ultimate POV Shootout every year, and we only look at the cams that fall into the category of quality cameras that could be used in the professional environment, because there's a lot of mom and pop, really junky cams that are out there, things that you buy kind of at a hobby store. You know, the $39, $49.
We're changing that.
I
So
understand.
a lot of hobby stores are carrying the action camera.
You can even go to a Home Depot, for Pete's sakes, you know, and they've got a
I've seen
pen camera that you can record stuff with. There's that stuff, the
Right.
real toy stuff, and this, I don't go into that market at all. So really the parameters are if it costs more than $250 and less than $500 and it's got certain features, it's going to find its way onto Frankenlens.
Okay, so Frankenlens.
Frankenlens, yeah, this is Frankenlens version 2.0, or Frankenlens 2 version 3.0 actually, but
I see everyone pretty much that I know of, and a bunch of people that I don't know represented there. But I see the new action cams on there, and
Yeah.
I see GoPro on there. So how do they compete against each other so far? So give us a kind of a preview of the article.
okay, well, what's happening is you see two of everything. That's because some of the cameras shoot optimally at 720p, others shoot optimally at 1080p. And so it's really not a fair comparison to carry or to shoot the cameras shooting 720p and then reshoot again at 1080. So I want to be able to capture the same scene, same source, same lighting, same everything with the same camera twice to say, hey, this camera really shines at 1080p 30 or 1080p 60 or it shines at 720p. And so giving every camera its chance to be the very best it can be under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
You asked about where the AS100, for example, or the AS30 are coming in. I don't want to give away who's going to win the shootout. I'll tell you that. What I will say is this. Image quality is a subjective conversation. Everything else in the shootout is objective, but image quality is subjective. And in the conversation of image quality, you just can't touch this.
Really?
You can't touch this. No, at 35 megabits, it blows the competition out of the water. At 50 megabits, it takes on things that, it takes on cameras that cost literally 10 times as much.
Really?
$3,000
In that little
package. Yeah,
plus
this
it's got
thing
time
is
code and
screaming.
Plus it records time code as well.
Yeah, it's got time code, it's got picture profiles, it's got time code, it's got a great battery life, Wi-Fi, although in the Pro end we would never use the Wi-Fi function, but Wi-Fi HDMI, it's got a buffered HDMI output, so if you want to spit it out to professional broadcast system, you can. The external microphone is killer for personal production. And that's where, the interesting thing is, I think that it's almost unfortunate that this is titled an action cam, because really what it is, it's a secondary cam, or it's an assistant to or second to your primary cam. Yeah. So the cool thing is, let's say you're a wedding videographer. I mean, you're probably working on a budget. You might have two people working at best. But let's face it, in today's world of production, 2 camera shoots are passe. We want a 10 camera shoot, and we can't afford to hire 10 people, so what do? Well, we can put this on a mount up in the arbor so that we're shooting down on the priest and his Bible, and we've got the couple, and maybe the best man's kind of standing there. We can hide these cameras in a number of different places, and we've got lots and lots of views. Or let's take a corporate shoot. We're doing a round table. The way that corporate shoots are traditionally done is we'll have a primary camera and then 1 or 2 secondaries, and they're all statics. Yeah. Well, we might take these and just put them in different discrete points around the room, and now everybody's got their own headshot that we could cut to make the video a little better. Another thing that's really cool with these is because of the fact that they have the 170 view or the 120 degree field of view in the menu options, we can use these great for second interview cams to go along with the master cam. Tighten them up for different kinds of shots. So they have a lot of application outside the action sport.
And that's what people think. When I look at action cams and POV cams and I look at them, initially I thought, okay, am I skydiving? Am I skiing?
Sure.
Am I, whitewater rafting? Do I really need one of these? Probably not. Let me get a regular camera. But you're saying, it's a secondary camera, another point of view. So POV, right?
There's a lot of places where these are used. One thing that's interesting was that I never thought of. What if one of my clients was over? We're working on a software thing to help control and display biomechanics. It's kinesthesiology, or measuring kinesthetics. They saw the white of the camera and said, is that from the medical industry? Because just of the white. Well, what ended up happening, we put this in 120 degree mode and started working with it. And for this particular client, with the time code and the white color, it looks very medical. So it's now found its way into a university hospital as a 6-camera array to shoot kinesthetic motion, or to shoot motion for biomechanics, helping people that are going through rehab with biomechanical feedback how to retrain their body to do things. So kind of this fits into so many places your brain really doesn't comprehend the places it maybe should go.
It's expanding now. So tell me about this project. So the array, and we have some images flashing up behind me here. I think that's you, and one of those, there you are, right here, jumping out of the plane with this array on your head. First of all, how did you keep from tumbling forward with 20 pounds of weight on your head?
Well, I mean, I've got over 5,000 exits out of aircraft, so I've been doing it for a while. And I frequently jump very large cameras anyway, or large objects on my head. Sometimes I'm a lighting person for dark shots, so I'm jumping with a large light, things like that. So I'm very used to what I've got to do with my body to keep myself from tumbling. And so that's an easy question to answer. You just spend a little bit of time flying, and once you gain the experience, you know what to do. And
then were you the architect of this
Frankenlens? Yeah. I'm Dr. Frankenstein here. I am. This helmet has an aircraft aluminum platform with what's called a toe plate, and it's designed to allow me to put just about any kind of camera setup or anything on it. It's got a number of tapped holes in the back so that I can make it multifunction. And so all I did was welded together these very thin aluminum tubes to build a step up. And then it's mounted to the rest of the helmet with VHB tape, the same type of tape that Sony gives you to tape their cameras onto whatever device you're working with. Sure. And just built the steps up and set it up so that every camera has a clear view of what's going on out front.
This looks like a charging nightmare, I got to tell you.
It's a charging nightmare. You got it right. You know, and what's worse, or what's really the big nightmare, is some of the cameras come with the most horrible mounting systems. And so instead of using their mounting systems, I did the camera manufacturer a favor by not using their mount and going direct mount with VHB tape. So some of the cameras that are on here, we won't mention names, but there's no mounting system underneath the camera. I wanted to make the camera look good, not the mount system make it look bad. Which, as a side note, that's one of the things Sony did really, really well. One of the things that makes these cameras challenging for some people is stabilization. Forget the fact that Sony's got the most impressive stabilization. That's one thing Sony's been well known for with the Boss and some of their EIS, or electronic image stabilization, OIS, the optical. Sony's always been well known for that. But the smart thing is they built this massive base. And anytime you have mass, you have stability. And so by having this big mass, the camera is very, very stable when you clamp it onto these environments. Whereas when you look at some of the other cameras, just even on their mount, they wobble quite a bit because they're using a real tiny point source mount system. So when you use these cameras, as was mentioned before, stabilization with the gimbals and whatnot, it's actually not, even without the stabilization, these cameras are ridiculously stable because of their base. Now you start throwing in the stabilization that comes in the camera. It's like,
and the 1/4 thumb screw for us, really lightweight. That's everything for us. So shed the case, everything. It's right there. You just attach it. You can balance it if you need to, and boom, off you go.
You're ready to go.
Yeah, that was a missing thing. Like on the AS30, for me, not being able to mount it to a tripod directly without having the housing on there. So so I'm looking forward to playing with that one.
That's fabulous, and you got the microphone input too. But with the stabilization shooting in P60, you're just slow it down by about 5% in post, and all of a sudden you're talking Cineflex type stabilization. It's just amazing.
So what's missing, Douglas, from these? When you look at these, you're clearly the expert. So what's missing, or in other words, to frame it in a different direction, what would you like to see in the next iteration of, say, the 100?
Boy, I would like something that would allow me to save more scene profiles like some of the other camera, the bigger consumer and prosumer and procams have, where I can go in via software and I can adjust some of those kinds of profiles. Geez, I can't think of a whole lot else I'd want to change. There's a whole lot in here. I mean, they're just packed. I guess I'd like to see a couple of maybe a docking station that made it a little bit more accessible for certain kinds of things. But then all of a sudden we're getting into the Handycam market, the CX series of cameras, and you start stepping on other kinds of toes, and you have to wonder what's the intentionality here. And the cool thing, coming back to these, is they're tiny, they're easy to hide, And anything you do that starts getting into that aspect of it,
And they're relatively inexpensive too, right? It's like 300.
yeah, $300.
Yeah, that's just insane.
And they added the flip mode, because for us, the skeleton frame, we could mount under a wing or wherever, but you couldn't flip the image in the software, but the new AS100 does that. So, and it's got the IR remote too.
That's crazy. So I'll throw the same question at you. When we're looking at UASs, UAVs, drones, what's missing?
Global shutter on a little, so we can get away from the jello issue, because everybody fights it when they're flying in the high frequency regime, and that takes some things. And I think that vibration isolation, whether it's done through software or mounting, that will evolve, and that'll just be great, because the butter, once you get it, the butter smooth footage is absolutely wonderful out of these. You can do things, but it's been a steep climb to get that vibration isolation taken care of.
It's interesting how this convergence is happening. These things are getting better and better and smarter and lighter and higher quality, and now we have these UAVs and drones that are getting lighter and more accessible, and they're converging together. And so then the last piece of that, I'm going to throw this to you, so the last piece of it is the legality around drones. We talked about this on This Week in Photo before, and it's the whole idea of not, the FAA saying, if you're going to make money, you cannot do it right now with these. But I've heard that there's some legislation or some ruling or something that happened recently that may be a light at the end of the tunnel. Do you
I've got bits and pieces of it. There was a judgment that said, look, there's really no law to be broken by doing this. At the same time, I understand it was a lower level court, but I can tell you for a long time that both the Academy of Model Aeronautics, they have signed a letter of agreement or a memorandum of understanding with the FAA to develop smart rules. The genie's out of the bottle. They realize that. We can save lives. We called down to the sinkhole in Florida and said, do you need somebody that can get out there and look down in there? So they're not all bad, and it's not all privacy issues. And the FAA realizes that. So, if I was a betting man here in Vegas, which is a good thing I'm not, well, sometimes, that I would guess in the end they're going to come out with a weight class and that says, look, here's the model aviation guidelines. If you're an enthusiast, an artist, you like to do this, look, use common sense, stay away from airports, fly below this, and then once we get above a certain weight, they very well may look at simple permitting or insurance requirement and some type of possible certification that's not overly burdensome, but that says you understand Class A airspace, B airspace, you take this seriously and you're a professional. That's my gut in the end. There's going to be missteps in between, but certainly, like I said, the genie's out of the bottle. It's a wonderful, a brave new world of this stuff, and there's so much it can offer to industry as well as search, rescue, everything. So
so timing-wise, I know clearly you don't have a time machine, but since the genie's out of the bottle, how long do you think before we have something concrete in place that we can look at?
Yeah, boy, that's a good question. It usually seems that the insurance companies and the lawyers drive that, but I would expect to see, the Academy of Model Aeronautics has been really on it, so I would expect to see something. They keep us updated, usually we get some progression about every 6 months, so you can only watch it. It would just be a guess. So
well, we'll see. Well, and in the meantime, people can be practicing.
Yes, and I would just encourage them to, use common sense. Check out the Academy of Model Aeronautics, read the guidelines. It's not overly onerous. It's safety. It's common sense, and help us get this done, right? We have people dumping it into a crowd. That's not going to help anybody, none of us. So let's be smart, safe, common sense, and make good use of this technology.
Love it. So we'll end this here. I know when we end the interview, we're going to actually get some flight time with that thing. So I'm looking forward to, I'm going to send you off, and then I'm going to disappear with that.
That's all right. So, it's got GPS locator on it, right? And then the camera's got GPS on it, too. So you're not going anywhere.
You busted.
But I don't think GPS works through ceiling. So.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a big
tether.
So what's next for Empire Hobby? What do you guys, what's up your sleeve?
It's been, the last 12 months has absolutely been a whirlwind. We were just speaking about when we were here a year ago and couldn't believe how much had changed. And what surprised me is when I went to pull some information packets for this show, and it's like, oh my gosh. Next for us, we'll continue as the new technologies come out. The companies that shine pretty quickly stand out, and my partner's been good at identifying He's got a knack for it. So we'll continue to get the latest technologies and get them reliably available. There's usually three pieces. It's quality, it's unique, and it's reliable, meaning the company and the product.
Okay.
And when those come through, I mean, the latest is the HD video downlink that can go a mile. And not only that, it can send back the aircraft signal via the same system. So that's the light bridge and just the technologies. We're going to keep up with them and bring those, because the traditional hobby shop is usually a little bit behind. You're not going to see the latest when you go into most brick and mortars. Not to say all of them, but they're typically mom and pops. And we work really hard to make those new technologies available to them, and they can even just go through our site, so they don't physically have to have it, and to keep those people evolving so more people can see it and it continues to grow.
And Douglas, what's next for you? What's next for I know the article, you're still working on that.
Yep.
What's after that?
Next thing, we're going to go to some of the bigger personal cameras, the NAX series and so forth. So that's the next assignment that I've had. So that'll be the next thing. Water, we got to do it. Water, air, and sand. We do it all with all of them. It's a lot of fun.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it. Empire Hobbies at empirehobby.com?
Oh, it's empirerc.com, but you can simply Google Empire Hobby and find us.
Excellent. And where should people just Google your name?
VASST.com, VAST. VASST.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I want to get a picture with the helmet on.
Me too. We'll get a picture and put that in the video.
Yeah, all right. Big smile. Awesome.
All right, guys, that's it. That's it for this interview. Thanks a lot for sticking around and watching this. I'm Frederick Van Johnson. We'll see you in the next video.
Cool.
Left stick up. Now, typically, when somebody solos, we put the shirt tail out, and we all try to...
Let's do it, do it, do it.
It's tradition. It really
Oh,
is.
man. Are you up this?
And you were able to take off flying land without me touching it in, what, 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, so...
I need to own that. It would be cool if that thing had a camera on it.
Yes. Yeah,
If that could see stabilized video, that would be insane.
It does. You know, and it's just stripping it off too distracting. I can't risk the photo.
No.
You guys are looking. But no, you sharp, you get it. Christina gets it, everybody gets it. That's
People better need it. Always.